we have a swing set up there, like a double swing set. And my brother and I were sitting on the swing set. It was probably a little lighter than it is now. And we heard these tree limbs, and it wasn't little limbs. I mean, you could hear something starting through here, and it was just cracking. And at first I thought, oh man, there's a bear coming around. But we didn't see anything. We couldn't see nothing. And then we heard this god-awful noise that I have never heard in my life, and I've never heard it since. And it actually made the hairs on my hand, I mean, it spooked me. It was just an eerie noise. I did it for you at work, but I can't.
It was a whoo, whoo.
Yeah, like,
did,
yeah, and it freaked me out because I've been out here a long time, I've never heard an animal do that. But I started watching, and I had this sense, and even my brother, who's bigger than him, we had this sense that something was watching us. Like, it was just a feeling like it was watching us. And we ran in the house. I mean, we ran in the house. But before we ran in, we could see like something run that way and just it went all the way up here. But it wasn't a mountain lion. I've heard the cougars, or not the cougars, what are those things? The coyotes. Coyotes.
Oh, coyotes.
Because we do have coyotes up here. But
just a very loud, like huff, like deep, like full of lung, like really deep from the lungs, like a hoof, hoof.
Yeah.
Like
It was like, I can't do it. It was like a, I don't know.
Okay, and when did it happen?
This was almost, I would have to say, a year and a half ago. And we just kind of put it out of our minds, you know. I didn't think at that time there could be anything, you know, like Bigfoot or anything like that out here, although he's seen some of the prints we find out here. And it's just a little weird. And when he, you know, Bob and I were talking about it, and actually we like the Sasquatch Association, because my brother and I don't know if my husband believes so much, but me and Bill were like, oh, that is so cool. But we never ever thought about the deal we saw here until I heard of sightings over in Jonestown.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God.
Well, I heard, I was on top of Jonestown several years back hiking in the woods, and I heard like a loud shrieking scream. And I mean, there was nobody else around for miles, and I heard it as soon as we started into the woods. It was like almost like a warning.
I've heard that. I've heard a real loud shrieking. At first I thought it was coyotes, and then Steve said, nah, it ain't coyotes. What do you think it is? And we'd listen and we'd listen and we'd listen. And we just, in our heads, we thought it was some kind of like a bird making the noise. But it was very, very loud for a bird.
As for the other noise you heard, do you know who Les Stroud is? He was on TV, Survivor Man, that show.
He'd go out in the wilderness on his
camera. Yeah.
He was in Alaska by himself, and he heard something rustle in the trees, and he heard that same thing like you heard, a very loud hoo, hoo, hoo.
Yeah.
Like, and he said he went to get the camera, but by the time he reached for it, it just like something took off through the trees, like.
Yeah. See,
but he heard that, he says, very deep from the lungs, like very loud, like a hoof.
It was like down, and I've heard bears holler, and usually they'll growl if they're fighting or whatever. I know what a bear sounds. It wasn't like anything I've ever heard, and the sound of it, and just the whole thing was so weird because you could see, I could hear it walking. Whatever it was walking. And it was breaking trees, and we saw there was big trees that were broke. You could see they were split.
Right, and when it was walking, it was definitely like 2 feet and not all fours, right?
It was 2 feet. That's, I think, when we had the willies, we definitely got scared and ran in the house.
Hi, we're the Pennsylvania Sasquatch Association. I'm Stephen.
I'm Bob.
I'm Jason, and this is our special guest, Michelle, my girlfriend.
We're here on a private residence on Mountain Road on the other side of Jonestown Mountain. The owner of this residence had an eyewitness account about a year and a half ago. You heard her story, and we're going to check it out. So come along with us and see what we find.
Yeah, so this is going to be interesting. This is our first private land investigation. We're used to being on game land, so this is going to be a different ball game tonight.
In here, and she said, look, there's a bear track on, there's a big puddle here. So I walked over, and to me it looks like there's a heel there too, besides the front part, like the toes,
Right.
you know, if you look. So that's how we saw it. She thought this part was like a bear, and then when I come over, I came right around where Steve's at, and to me it looks like it got a heel and to it. And there's deer.
Well, it does look like something made that. I don't know. I don't know if it's like one track or...
Well, this is, I don't mean to be skeptical, but I've seen tracks, because we used to cast them, and I've seen a lot of tracks where
Well, that's what I mean. That could be
it
one
was
there,
like
one there.
a hand over hand kind of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know how bears go off
That's
forward.
what I was thinking.
It almost
yesterday,
looks
too.
like in two different directions. Like this is going
Right.
that way and that's
That's why I
going
said
towards
it could,
Bucko.
Yeah. It's just kind of something interesting.
Yeah. Ooh, spider web. You just walked right through it.
Did I? I
Look at,
didn't-
it's all
there
over.
it is.
One.
Oh, there it is.
You want the stick?
Get your ruler.
There it goes. I was looking down, I wasn't looking up.
So, as you can see now, we're on a power line. The quad trail came out. You hear a lot of stories about Squatches using power lines as almost a highway system.
If you look at power lines, though, it makes so much sense, because you're a big creature, way taller than we would be, and those things are like beacons. Like, follow this, follow this, you
like
know?
following
I know
the
if I
North
was
Star.
lost, that's what I'd walk.
Exactly.
The power line or railroad tracks, or I mean, if you had nothing else.
Yeah, you know you're going to end up somewhere.
Like, it would make perfect sense.
How about we try a wood knot, huh?
There's a nice one.
Yeah.
She can do it. I'll do it. Don't matter. She wants to try it.
Try a tree knot.
Just go hit it. You don't have to hit it real hard. It'll snap.
We had a dog bark.
That's their dogs.
Something snapped over there.
Yeah, I heard that. Right before you started, something made a move noise too. Well, that one right before he was going to call, it sounded like water coming down through the leaves.
That call sounded pretty loud.
That was a good one.
I can't believe they wouldn't have heard that at the house. No.
No.
That was pretty loud.
You know what surprised me about that? Is the dogs didn't start howling.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
they heard it before and they're afraid.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah, that is kind of odd. When you did the tree knock, they started
they
barking a little.
started. But when you did that, they didn't.
Do they keep their dogs out for the night, or? Okay. Alright.
Oh,
Russ killed me. I'm telling you, my one leg and my one foot.
This is brutal.
I didn't even think it was steep.
No end in sight.
I'm hoping at the top of that little flat.
Yeah. Again, remember West Virginia, Jay?
Yeah.
Up around this curve, it's got to level out.
No.
Nope. Up around this curve, nope.
Wait.
I'll get some breath. There's spider webs too.
This way it'll travel down the mountain.
It's easier one-handed.
Oh, you need a new one.
I think it's acorn.
No, it wasn't.
It's something hit the ground though.
That was a pretty big acorn.
That wasn't an acorn, man.
It was close too.
It was pretty big.
Here, let me get it.
Hold my bag, I'll go
Got it.
investigate this. That was not an acorn.
That was not a friggin' acorn.
That was pretty big.
Well, then somebody needs to do something here.
Try a clap or something.
What is making that noise? But it was the same kind of noise, like it's almost like it's throwing a rock into the brush or dropping a rock into the brush or I don't know what it is. We put
This
our
is
lights
me.
we put our lights right on it, but you don't see anything move.
That's a rock.
So what do you think it is? A branch breaking or what?
It's got more of a sharp sound.
Should we watch anything, whatever is follows us?
That was something almost more like it was.
Yeah.
It didn't hit a rock, hit like the ground.
But see, that rock broke when it hit, and that's kind of what it sounded like.
Yeah, that is what it sounded like.
It sounded like a rock being thrown that broke.
You don't think? You think someone's like throwing rocks just like into the woods just to spook us?
No, you hear them move, I think.
Yeah.
I think if anybody's seen us up here and one day want us here, they confront us, not throw a rock.
That concludes our investigation here on Mountain Road. We heard some strange noises of rocks breaking and sticks breaking that we couldn't explain. Other than that, it was kind of quiet. We do, however, think she saw something a year and a half ago, but whatever it was might have just been passing through. So join us next time on the Sasquatch Diaries or the Pennsylvania Sasquatch Association.
And remember, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and check out the rest of our YouTube channels.
See you next time.